Hey, it's Dave here. If you've ever opened Home Assistant and thought, what am I even looking at? Don't worry, you're not alone. In this video, we're going to demystify dashboards, the part of Home Assistant you interact with the most. You'll learn what dashboards actually are, how view cards and layouts work, and how to enable features like dark mode and conditional visibility to make your dashboard smarter and more intuitive. So what are dashboards? Dashboards are what Home Assistant calls the front-end interface, the screens you build to control your smart home. You can even have multiple dashboards and even create personalized ones for each user. Dashboards are made of views, and each view contains cards that display or control things like lights, temperature, or security systems. Here's the official dashboard documentation, which I recommend you have a skim through, which details everything you need to know. One cool thing you can try is the interactive demo. It's available right on the Home Assistant website, and it lets you dive in and explore how dashboards work without needing to install anything or make changes to your own Home Assistant setup. You can click around, test layouts, and get a feel of how cards and views are arranged. It's a great way to experiment safely before building your own. But now let me walk you through how dashboards are structured visually. Once you see where everything fits, it becomes a lot easier to understand. At the top, you've got views. These are like pages or tabs. You can think of each one as a different section of your dashboard, like lights, security, or energy. Just below that, you've got badges. These are smaller icon-style indicators, great for showing off quick info at a glance, like whether someone's at home or it's day or night. Then we have the cards. These are the actual building blocks inside each view: buttons, switches, sliders, graphs. They're all different types of cards. Everything you interact with in the dashboard lives here. So to recap, a view is a page, badges shows the quick status info, and cards are your widgets and controls, all of it working together to form your Home Assistant dashboard. Now that you know what views, cards, and badges are, let's walk about how each view can be laid out. When you create or edit a view, you need to choose the layout type. This controls how your cards are arranged, whether they're stacked like tiles, grouped in sections, or spread across the full screen. There are 4 main layout types in Home Assistant, and you can mix and match them across views depending on the purpose. First is Masonry, cards stacked in a grid top to bottom and flow automatically depending on the screen size. It's flexible and great for general dashboards. Next is Panel. This layout gives you a single full-width card, perfect for visuals like a graph, camera feed, or floor plan. Use it when you want one big focused view. Then there's Sidebar. This layout puts your view's navigation on one side and your cards on the other. It's great for clean tablet dashboards or quick glance layouts with minimal clutter. Just to clarify, this isn't the same as the Home Assistant sidebar you see on the far left with your dashboard, settings, and add-ons. This is a view layout option that controls how cards are arranged inside your dashboard. The last is Sections. This layout lets you break up your views into clearly labeled groups. It's ideal for organizing your dashboard into categories like lights, scenes, and sensors. You can also rearrange entire sections easily. Each view in your dashboard can have a different layout, so you can customize the experience based on what makes the most sense for that screen or that device. Just a quick heads up, while you can switch from Masonry, Panel, or Sidebar to Sections after accepting the Home Assistant prompt to convert, once a view is using the Sections layout, you can't switch it back to any other layout. So keep that in mind when planning your dashboard. If you want to change it later, you'll need to rebuild that view from scratch, since it's not possible to switch from sections to another layout. Okay, let's try out some cards in each layout type. Same cards every time, just so you can really see the difference in how they're arranged. Now I'm going to create some views and add the same items for each view, so you can see how they differentiate for each type of view. We'll start off by creating sections. So if you just click on Edit Dashboard, then you're going to click the plus icon, and we'll leave it as sections, and I'm just going to give it the title sections. Then click Save. And now I'm going to click on this section, and I'm just going to very quickly add some items. I'm going to just add them by entity. Then click Continue, and then Add to Dashboard. And I'm just going to add another block of sections as well. Then click Continue, and then Add to Dashboard. And then click Done. So that's what sections look like. And now we're going to do exactly the same for masonry. Edit Dashboard, click the plus, select masonry. I'll give it a title masonry as well. Then click Save. Then I'm going to go to Add Card, by entity, and add exactly the same items. Click Continue, Add to Dashboard, and now we're going to add one more card. Click Continue, Add to Dashboard, then click Done. Now I'm going to do the same for sidebar. Click Save. Go to Add Card, and I'm going to add exactly the same items again. Click Continue, Add to Dashboard, and then add another card. Click Continue, Add to Dashboard, Done. And then we just got the last one, which is Panel View. So I'm just going to add that as well. Click Save, Add Card, click Continue, Add to Dashboard, Done. And you'll notice with Panel View, there's no option to add a second card. So all of those items have got to go into there. So I'm just going to quickly toggle between each option. So you've got sections, looks like that. Masonry looks like this. Sidebar looks like that. And panel looks like that. I'm now going to add one more view, but I'm going to check the feature Sub View. I'll make this masonry. I'm just going to call it Sub View as the title. And you'll see this checkbox here. And what this does is it will add the view like the others, but it will have a back button and you can't just go straight into it from the tabs. So I'm going to check that box. Click Save. I'm just going to quickly add something. just going to add that kettle and click save. And then click done. And you'll see here you've got that back button. So once you click on that, it's disappeared. So what I'm going to do now is just quickly show you how to create a link to that from one of these views. So I'm going to go into the masonry one. Add a card. I'm just going to do a search for button. I'm going to remove that entity. And I'm just going to give it an icon. So I'm just going to use that arrow. And where it's got tap behavior, I'm going to change it from toggle to navigate. And then if I select navigate path, you'll see here, it's got some of the views I've created earlier. So I'm just looking for that one that said subview, which is this one here. Then I'm just going to click save and click done. And now when I click on that arrow, it's going to that subview. And then I can go back. So in case you wanted to know what subviews are or how to use them, that's how you can get them to work. Something I mentioned earlier about changing from one view to the other. If I just click on sections, and if I try to change it to one of these, you're going to see that error message. You cannot change your section view to another type. Start from scratch. That's the part I warned you earlier. If you made it a sections view, you can't change it to any of these three below. You're stuck as it is. If I do it the same now, if I just go to sidebar and now click edit, you'll find I can change sidebar to masonry or panel. But if I go to sections, it will give you this option where you can convert it and make it a sections view. But once you've converted it, you cannot go back. You're going to get that same error message if you go from sections to one of the others. So it's just something to watch out for when you're creating your views, because if you then want to change that view type, you may or may not be able to. Conditional visibility is especially handy if you've got a tablet mounted on the wall in kiosk mode, maybe in the kitchen or the hallway, and you want to limit what it can access. You might only want to control lights, heatings, or curtains in that area and not expose sensitive devices like alarms or door locks. Conditional visibility lets you restrict what's shown on the screen based on the user, device, or even the time of the day, so you can build dashboards that are smart and safe. Another cool example is you can even set rules so that only devices for a specific area, depending on where you are. So if I'm in the kitchen and pull out my phone, I don't need to see buttons for the bedroom lights or curtains. I'm going to show you how to create a condition that displays cards based on your location using room presence. Now, I won't be walking you through the full setup for room presence in this video, since the goal here is just to demonstrate what's possible with conditional visibility. But don't worry, I'll be making a separate video soon that covers presence detection in detail, including how I got mine working with Bluetooth tracking. In this example, I'm going to configure conditional visibility so I'll only see the lights relevant to what room I'm in. If you select Edit Dashboard, when setting conditional visibility, it applies directly to the card instead of the entity. And because these lights are all within the same card, what I'm going to do is make duplicate copies and have one for each room. So if I just select the three dots, and I'm just going to make two duplicates. So I'll call that one bedroom, and I'm just going to quickly remove anything that's not relevant, and then click save. And I'm just going to do the same for the other card. I'll call it lounge and kitchen, and I'm just going to remove all the items that aren't relevant for that room. And then click Save. So at the moment, we've just got two separate light cards for each room. Now we're going to set the conditional visibility rules. And I'm going to start with the bedroom first. So I'm going to go into Edit, select the Visibility tab, select Add Condition, Entity State, find my mobile phone, which is this one here. Because I've got two sensors, I actually want it to be if it's equal to bedroom 1 or bedroom 2. Now, for some reason in this example, there seems to be a bug when using the OR value, because it's like it unintentionally sets it as an AND value, and it's never going to be this one and that one. It's only going to be one or the other. So if I add this extra OR value here, and then select Condition, Entity State, S23. Now I'm going to click Save, and then click Done. You'll see the bedroom card has disappeared, even though I've set the value where it's one or the other, and you can see the phone is set to bedroom 2. I'm going to go back into Edit, then go to the Visibility tab, and it seems if I'm trying to use the OR value, the only way I've got around it to get it working is I go into Show Code Editor, and I need to change this particular section here to look like this. Then when I click Save, and then go to Done, you can see now the lights card is successfully working. So I don't know why that is. It seems to be a bit of a bug where you have to manually use the YAML instead of the GUI when using the OR value. I'm now going to repeat the same for the kitchen and lounge. So I'm going to go into Edit, select Visibility. This is going to be exactly the same but for two different rooms. Now, because we already know there's a bug, I'm just going to manually paste that into the code editor section. Which is this part here. Then I'm going to click Save. And then click Done, and the lounge and kitchen should disappear, which it has, because you can see the mobile phone is showing bedroom 2. So it's not in that location and it won't work. The next thing we're going to do is just go to a live demo where I'm just going to put my camera on and just walk around the room so you can see it working in action. I'm just going to demonstrate conditional visibility in use. And at the moment, I'm standing in my bedroom and you can see Dave's S23 mobile is showing bedroom 1 and it's also showing the lights bedroom card. I'm now going to walk into the lounge. And you can see straight away, it's now showing Dave's S23 mobile as lounge, and it's also showing the lights lounge kitchen. So that's an example of where you may want to use conditional visibility for. I'm now going to show you how to create an input Boolean to act as a switch where we can toggle off and on a theme to simulate dark and light mode. So when you press off or on, it will replicate a similar setup to dark mode, but it's actually just changing from one theme to another, along with an automation to automatically follow the sun to change from one theme to the other, and additionally add an override switch so that if you want it to always be in dark mode, it will permanently stay that way. But if you've got this unchecked, then the automation will automatically revert back when it follows the sun. Now there's a couple ways you can change the themes and select dark or light mode. The easiest way is if you go to your profile and then scroll all the way down, and under browser settings, you can then select the theme and then toggle between light and dark. Now this is more of a browser setting and it only applies to the device. So if you want to do this for all devices, you'll need to do it from the Actions tab under Developer Tools. But to make this more complicated, there seems to be a somewhat bug where you can only change the theme and not the mode when you're doing it as an action. I'm just going to put this back and I'll show you what happens. So now I'm going to go to Developer Tools, then go to the Actions tab. And now from here, I'm just going to change the theme to Home Assistant. And you'll notice as I select light and do perform action and go to dark, nothing seems to be happening. Even though there's no errors and the YAML is correct, I can't seem to change the mode. I can only change the theme. So what I've done to get around this is I've created two separate themes and I've made a dark theme to try my best to sort of replicate the same settings or color schemes as what dark mode is actually like. So when I go from here and I select night mode, and then I'm just going to uncheck mode because it doesn't actually do anything. If I now select perform action, you can now see it goes into night. And if I select day, which is really just day theme, and do perform action, that now goes into a day theme, which will also apply to all your devices. This is a really cool feature because if you have got like a tablet or something in kiosk mode, you can then apply that change and it will automatically apply to all the devices. One more thing to mention, which just makes it a little bit more complicated, is if I go back to the user profile section and then scroll all the way down, depending if you're doing this from a PC web browser or your mobile phone, you need to make sure that theme must be selected as use default theme. And I find if it's on a mobile phone, it needs to be selected as auto. And if it's a PC, it needs to be selected as light. There is a possibility this might be different on your environment. If you don't do that, then you'll find the themes won't change. So if I just select that as auto, and I quickly go back to the Actions tab. So at the moment it's on day, and I'm just going to select perform action, and you'll see there, it doesn't appear to be working. So if you do find that these themes aren't switching, just make sure that under your user profile, you have to have it selected as use default theme. And if it's a mobile phone, it needs to be selected as auto. And if it's a PC, it needs to be selected as light. Then it will start working. Now, if for some reason you've got a PC and you don't want the themes to automatically change, you can just leave it from here as it is. And it's only the devices where you've selected this mode that they will automatically change from the Action tab. Now, in order to achieve this, there's three things you're going to need to do. Create two input Booleans, create two themes, and create an automation that will switch between day and night mode by following the sun, or if the dark theme is switched off or on. I'm going to start off by taking you to the configuration.yaml so we can create the theme. So if you go into File Editor, now I've split my configuration.yaml file, but if you haven't, what you'll need to do is set it up so it looks something like this. So you've got front end, themes, and then here I've got the first theme, which is day, and that just simply has the normal day colors. And then I've got night, which has the closest I can find to the night color scheme. Now, because I've split my configuration.yaml, I don't have that file there. And you can see here, I've got front end themes, and it's going to a folder called config themes. So if I just quickly show you what mine looks like, I go to Browse File System, go to the config folder, then I'm looking for a folder called Themes, which is here. And you can see here I've got day and night. So it depends whether you split your configuration.yaml. All of this code will be shared on GitHub for you to download. The next part you're also going to need to do is create two input booleans, one of which is to change the theme and the other is the theme override, so it prevents the automation from running. I'm just going to go back to configuration.yaml. Now I've actually split my configuration.yaml, but if you haven't and you don't have any input booleans, it's going to go here and it'll look something like this, where you've got the input boolean and then you've got the two files here, which are what you're going to need, and then you would save it. I'm just going to delete that because I don't need that. So if I just scroll up, you can see here I've got input boolean and it's split into a folder called config and an input boolean, which I'm now going to take you to. So I'm going to go to Browse File System, look for the config folder, then look for input boolean. And I've got one here called dark theme. Now I've actually made this as two separate files, but you don't need to do that. You only actually need the one. And if you are going to just use the one, it can look something like this. You can just save it like that and give it whatever name you want, and then you're good to go. Once you've made those changes to your configuration.yaml, where you've added the two input booleans and you've also added the themes, you're then going to want to go to Developer Tools, go to YAML, and then just hit the check configuration, make sure it's okay, and then I would just give Home Assistant a quick restart. Now, assuming you've used the code I've provided, the last step is you're going to create an automation that uses those input booleans. So if you go to Settings, then you're going to go to Automations and Scenes, then select Create Automation, then create a new automation. And then if you go to these three dots here and select Edit in YAML, you're then going to paste the sample code that I've provided, which will look something like this. And the way it works is when you toggle that switch of the dark mode theme, it will then automatically select either day or night mode. It will also follow the sun so that in the evening it will go to dark mode and in the morning it will go to light mode. But I've also added an input boolean, which is this one here, which is the option to override it, because you might actually think, you know what, I like dark mode and I want it to always be on. So you can then flick that switch and it will stop the automation from working. Once you've pasted all that code in, you can then just go ahead and click Save. And then just leave it as that. Click Rename. And then you've got the automation complete. Once that automation has been saved, you're then going to select Overview and go back to your dashboard. Then click on Edit Dashboard. Select Add Card. Change it to by entity, and if you just do a search for theme, and the ones you're looking for is input boolean dark mode and input boolean theme override. So I'm going to select these two. Then I'm going to select Continue. And then just select Add to Dashboard. And then click Done. Now I've deliberately made a mistake, and you'll find out in a second. When I toggle off and on, you're going to see it doesn't appear to be working. So as mentioned earlier, I've now got to go back out, go into my profile, and then scroll all the way down back to browser settings. And because I'm using a PC, this needs to be selected as use default theme, and that must be selected as light. If this was a mobile phone or tablet, it needs to be selected as auto. So I'm just going to change that to light now. Now I'm going to come back out and go back into the Overview tab. Now when I select it, you can see it's working. There's a good chance that might catch you out because it took me days to figure out why that was happening. Now, just to prove that's working on two devices at the same time, I'm just going to overlay my mobile phone and I'm going to toggle between this dark theme off and on. So you should see the mobile phone is working. And I'm just going to go to the setting on my mobile phone to show you the profile part where it has to be on auto. So you can see here on the mobile phone, it's got use default theme, but I have to select the mode as auto, but the PC has to be light. No idea why that is, but it's just something to make note of because it really caught me out. So that's how dashboards work and how you can start customizing the layout, visibility, and theme. In an upcoming video, we'll dive into hacks and explore some custom dashboards you can install to take things even further. If you found this video helpful, smash the like button and subscribe for more smart home tutorials. Bye for now, and I'll catch you in the next one.